Hi everyone and welcome to the studio. Today I'm actually going to show you a few little tips and tricks with burnishing Lisa Pavelka foils onto polymer clay. Now this is one of my very favorite things to do in the studio. There is literally so many different variations on this, it's not funny, and I'm going to cover quite a few of those in some additional videos. Okay, Lisa Pavelka foils. These are beautiful foils. You can see I've got a range of colors here. They all come in different packs. You know, you can buy solid colors, you can buy variegated colors, all sorts of different things. So these are all polymer clay compatible. So there are lots of foils on the market, but not all of them transfer beautifully to polymer clay like these ones do. Okay, so the idea is that this is a sheet of mylar paper, very thin, kind of flimsy looking paper, and it has the color attached to the underneath of the paper. So you can see it this way. So this is the color on here. So this paper actually needs to be ripped off the surface of the clay. So it's not something that you cut up and leave on the clay. It does have to be ripped off. Okay, there are lots and lots of different ways that you can burnish this product to polymer clay. You can use all sorts of different burnishing tools. You know, the list goes on forever. I've seen people do it many different ways with great success. So I would highly recommend you play around with a variety of different burnishing tools to transfer this product to clay and work out what suits you best. All right, so I've got some clay. This is just Primo Black, run through a medium thin setting on the pasta machine. Let me just move up slightly. I've got a small piece of clay and I'm going to put it right on the edge. If I put it in the middle, you know, it affects that piece, and I want to maximize the amount of workable pieces I've got on this foil. So I'm simply burnishing the air bubbles out. Sorry, rubbing the air bubbles out. And I'm wearing gloves. I don't normally when I work with foils, but sometimes if you have, you know, sticky fingers, oily fingers, it can transfer onto the back of your sheet, which can then affect the way the product transfers to the clay. All right, if I had excess clay around the edge, I would trim it off just for neatness sake. That way you don't have clay kind of, you know, scraping over the entire surface. I would also make sure to leave a tail. If I have a little piece of foil that's smaller than my clay and I burnish it on, it's kind of wedged in there, I've then got nothing to kind of grab and pull off the surface. So I would make sure my foil is larger than the clay I'm working on. So I'm simply going to, you can also, if you want to, cover your sheet to protect it and then burnish away. I don't normally do that. I normally just burnish this way. I'm using a credit card, or this is actually one of Lisa Pavelka's cards, and I've got it almost parallel to the work surface. If I held it this way, I could risk gouging pieces out of my clay. Also keep in mind, if you're using a burnishing tool that has a domed edge or, you know, isn't quite flat, you may end up causing divots, or, you know, you may end up with an uneven clay surface. So I'm just going to burnish this on. This is another one I love. This is actually a cake decorating tool, and it's simply really easy to go over the surface like this. Now this is a heat transfer product, so you do need to create a little bit of a warm surface for it to transfer to the clay. One thing I always see people do is try to have a peek to see if it's transferred, and look, it hasn't transferred, but I can tell you it has transferred. I don't know why this happens, but it's kind of just like magic, you know. I'll just give it another quick burnish this way. When you have a peek, or when you try and move the paper off slowly, it never ever ever works for some reason. You have to rip like a band-aid. And I don't hold my paper any certain way. There's no fancy way I hold my paper. I just rip it. So beautiful. This is one of my favorite things. Gosh, I love foils. Okay, a gorgeous sheet of clay. Now, while I have your attention, I'm going to do one more ultra quick demonstration to show you something very interesting. You can see this foil, more copper foils, exactly the same backing. Okay, this one transfers beautifully. This one never, ever, ever transfers. Let me show you. I've actually already tried to do this one, you can see, but I'm just going to show you again. Just remove that air bubble there. So these copper foils are from 2 packs of clay that I purchased on separate occasions. As I said, one works, one doesn't. So you may be doing all the right things, but your foil may not be working. In which case, you have a product that is possibly not a Lisa Pavelka foil, and I would suggest you get in touch with your supplier. So very interesting to note there, 2 foils, almost identical. Obviously they're not the same because one works and one doesn't. So that's pretty much how I burnish foils onto polymer clay. And thank you for watching, and join me again for the next video.